Mr. P.L. Shetty is the one who, when the municipal authorities, under the direction of Mr. Nair, were ripping down and going to destroy the temple, it was Mr. P.L. Shetty who came in because he was a contractor and he had access to the materials, the concrete panels and all the building materials, which were difficult to get. But he had 40 workers at the snap of his fingers. So he was the one that came in and assigned his workers to rebuild, so that at the end of, and he was also the one who said, when the thugs, or how the gundas, when they came and said, don't even try to rebuild, don't attempt it, because we'll be there and we'll destroy it again. And he said, we'll send 50 gundas to destroy it. He said, 50, you should bring 100. Bring 150. I have 250 bullets, and I'll be there with my guns. He had a rifle and he had a gun. And they were there. They brought the weapons. His son, Brij Mohan, who was there last night at our pandal, I don't know if you saw him. He looks just like Mr. Shetty. So this is Mr. Shetty, just to give a little introduction. So, this first story was 1973, early, just when Mr. Shetty was moving into his Juhu house. Something happened to his health. The nerves on his neck were badly entangled. And the doctor, he was seeing a physician, the doctor was afraid that he could die. He said you could die at any moment, if you're not careful the way you walk, etc., because the nerves were all entangled. So what they did is they put like a lumbar belt on him so he couldn't move so much. And he said, we don't even have, in Bombay now, we don't even have a doctor that can deal with this, Shetty. You're going to have to go to London. So Mr. Shetty had purchased his ticket to London for the operation. And then they found out that Srila Prabhupada was in Bombay. So they found out where he was. Srila Prabhupada came out, gave Mr. Shetty his garland. And Srila Prabhupada was supposed to go that day to Valkeshwar. He canceled that. And instead he went to Goregaon, where Mr. Shetty was just temporarily living while they waited for his house to be built here. And Prabhupada just looked at Shetty and he said, Shetty, life and death are not in the hands of these doctors. Remove that belt, remove this thing that you're wearing. And Mr. Because the doctor had told him very strictly, you have to do this. And his son, Brij Mohan, had tears in his eyes. Mrs. Shetty was crying. And Brij Mohan said to Prabhupada, Swamiji, what are you doing? It is against the medical advice. Please. Because Mr. Shetty, he couldn't even lift a cup of tea. That's how sick he was with his hands. He couldn't even lift a cup of tea, And Prabhupada continued. Prabhupada said, there is no need of going to London. Go home, get a massage on your neck. And Prabhupada prescribed a Ayurvedic medication called Yogendra Ras. And he told him there's only one shop where you can get it in its pure form. It's in Kalbadevi. He told him where to go, He said, you will be all right. Nothing will happen to you. So Mr. Shetty he believed in Prabhupada so much. He did what he said. He went to Malad to get the massage because then they met one of their relatives or somebody said, oh yeah, you get a massage from this man because my husband had the same problem. And then, okay, so they did that. And in 15 days, he was feeling fine and he didn't need the surgery. And even later, after 1 month, he saw the big orthopedic surgeon who said to him, Shetty, you are living? I thought something must have happened to you. And you were driving the car? This doctor was shocked, and Mr. Shetty told him, what you doctors cannot do, my Guruji did for me. He had full faith in Srila Prabhupada. And Mr. Shetty had a full bungalow made every year in honor of Srila Prabhupada at Banki Bihari Temple in Vrindavan. Now, at Banki Bihari, everything is always booked way in advance because it's a very popular temple. And to get a full bungalow, you have to book like a year or two in advance. But he would do that and have it offered in honor of Srila Prabhupada. I thought that was very nice. And Srila Prabhupada uses Mr. Shetty, or used to use in his lectures, to give an example of what is a Kshatriya. Because before the partition in 1947, Shetty's whole family was from what is now Pakistan, so they had to leave in the partition. And his second son, Brij Mohan, who, as I mentioned, now if you see him, he looks exactly like Mr. Shetty. He was born in 1947, so at the time of partition, he was 8 days old. So Prabhupada uses this story. At the partition, Shetty was walking down alongside the rail, the rail station, and the train had stopped, and a train had just pulled in. And some hooligans walked with machetes. 3 guys with machetes walked down, just didn't know him from Adam, but just saw that he was what religion he is, and wanted to kill him. They would try to kill him. And Shetty just took his sword and lopped off the head of the first assailant, and his headless body went walking a few feet and then fell over. And the other 2, when they saw that, they just ran away in fear. And so Prabhupada uses that. Prabhupada said, this is a Kshatriya. So Prabhupada uses him as an example of what is a Kshatriya. This is Mr. P.L. Shetty we're talking about, who lived here and was a big assistance in building this temple.